Hi guys, it's Edie's here and welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be sharing with you items that make my life as a teacher easier. So essentially all my teacher essentials, and to be quite honest, I filmed this video, it was 40 minutes long, and then I sat down and thought about how I don't think you do need all of these things. So I narrowed down my list even more. So I started with literally this many items, and then I highlighted and crossed things out because I really think in 2025, one of the propagandas that I'm not falling for is spending or overspending to furnish and make your classroom great. I don't think you need these fancy things. Most of the things that I have in my classroom right now, I've made myself using Canva or Pages or Google Slides. So I think you can make everything. While yes, printing and laminating does cost money, it is pennies compared to some of the bundles that I've seen. For example, my favorite classroom setup website or company is called Schoolgirl Style, and her bundle is like $300, which is absolutely ridiculous. So if you get anything from this video, is that less is more, and that you don't need to spend thousands of dollars to make your classroom a safe space and like aesthetically pleasing classroom. Really, at the end of the day, all that matters is that you get to know your students and you teach them the standards. Anything else is just added on. But of course, you're here, and I am a believer that your classroom should be a reflection of you, but I don't think you need to spend thousands of dollars there. So I've narrowed down the list and we're going to get started right away. So I think the most important tip or supply that you can get to really make your classroom look cute would be borders and bulletin board paper. I think that really sets the tone, and if you pick a theme or colors that you want to kind of have in uniform in your classroom, I think that's the best thing you can do because it makes everything look cute. For example, my theme is all neutrals, black and white. So I will show you a little snippet of what my classrooms have looked like throughout the year so you can see kind of my style and vibes. All right, so this is what kind of my classroom looks like. As you can see, I really just use black and white, and previous years, I've just changed the borders. I really don't pick a new theme every year. I stick to the same thing, and then for it not to be so like copy and paste, I just change borders and like little details here and there, but for the most part, my classroom has stayed the same for the last 6 years. So border and bulletin board paper. When it comes to borders, Lakeshore, if you have one of those near you, they have really good bulletin board borders and paper. Instead of bulletin board paper, I actually save a little bit of money and get flat bed sheets from Walmart or any place that's near you, or maybe that sells fabric, and that makes everything look matte and soft. I usually just get black fitted sheets in like a queen or king size. And it makes your bulletin boards look so cute. And then for borders, like I said, I usually stick to Lakeshore or Schoolgirl Style. This year I will show you I'm doing like a black and white bow theme, so I'm using that. But previous years I've made my own borders. So besides bulletin board paper and borders, another thing that helps your classroom like stay organized and makes my life easier is book bins. So I use these, probably the most inexpensive book bins that you can find on the market. They're from Target. They look like this. They're little crates and they're about $1.64, and they are perfect for fitting chapter books. And because I teach 4th grade, which is considered upper elementary, most of my students are reading chapter books. So that's mainly what I have in my classroom. And I got them back in the day when they were 99 cents. So I'm sure you can find them for cheap, or even look at like Facebook Marketplace, because a lot of teachers that retire or change schools are giving things for very like below market value. And I've found things like very cheap on Facebook Marketplace, like books. But I wouldn't purchase books because the school should provide books for you. And if you are starting, I would go to a thrift store and maybe find some books that they sell for like $1. And I've just grown my collection little by little because I do like to add specific books that are for student interest. But I don't think if you're new, like a new teacher, I don't think that you should prioritize books because the school should provide a library for you. I think that you should just get bins and then work on labels and sort your books based on interest and genres. Another thing that I debated whether or not to put this, but it has actually made my life better as a teacher and has saved me a lot of time. So I've got these mailboxes, student mailboxes. So each year I give my students numbers 1 through however many students I have, and each student has a mailbox, and there they put their homework folders, they put any papers that need to be returned, or if we have like homework or a worksheet, I would just put it in the mailbox instead of going to each desk. And that saved me so much time because it takes me like a minute to do, and also it's a job that I can give the students, and it's easy to see that every student has a paper that, you know, might be important. So student mailboxes have saved me so much time. They are a little bit on the pricier side, so I don't know if I would buy it my first year, but I wish I did because it has saved me a lot of time. But it is big, so if you have a small classroom, they might not work for you, but trust me, it's a lifesaver. Another thing that, you know, on the topic of time is a timer. I love using timers. I use timers on my slides. I use a physical timer in the classroom, and I got this one from Lakeshore my first year teaching, and it's about $30 give or take. But this year I upgraded to this one on TikTok Shop, and it's so cute. It's like a rainbow, but once again, it doesn't have to be fancy. I've, you know, can splurge a little bit more, I feel like, because I am in my 9th year and I don't need the basics. But a timer, any way, shape, or form, even if you want to do digital timer, I think it's really essential for time management. Okay, another thing when it comes to time and organization, I recommend getting like a flow chart or making schedule cards where both you and the students can see kind of like the flow of the day so they know what to expect. And I change it every morning. It doesn't take a lot of time, and it helps students just know what's coming up next and get them mentally ready, makes transitions faster, and I really love it. I make my own schedule cards, and then the flip charts, I think I got one from Amazon for like a couple bucks, and I'll definitely link everything down below that I'm talking about so that it makes it easier for you to shop as well. Another item that I debated on including to this list is marker organization or storage, but I decided to just mention it because it has made my life so easy. Like before, students will I have to take out buckets, and then students will grab like the marker sets, but now because I have this marker organization, I just call each student up, or each pod or table up, and they just grab the markers that they need, and then they know to put it back in the right spot. And then at the end of the day or at the end of the week, I have like a student who clears it up just in case, because everything's color coded, and it has saved me so much time and organization and transition time. Like, it's great. I actually make these labels and I sell them on my Teachers Pay Teachers, so I'll definitely link that down below, as well as my TPT, so that you can shop anything that I've mentioned here today and see what I got, because everything that I make for my TPT is actually the things I use in my classroom. I just post them on TPT because I know that if I need it, then also other teachers need it, and I don't sell them for that much. So I think that saves you time, money as well. I mean, maybe not so much time because you do have to print and cut everything and laminate it. This thing is more like a teacher material, so I definitely recommend a notebook. I don't think you need one of those fancy teacher planners. I had them, I started with Erin Condren when I first started teaching, and I just ended up not using it. So a notebook is blank, so you don't feel pressure to fill out the months or fill out the dates. I make everything myself, like I said, the monthly layouts, and I really just stick to a bunch of to-do lists, and I use it almost like a brain dump, where I literally just look at my notebook and I'm like, okay, this is what I need to do. And then on the other side, I journal, because I have journaling time with my students. And then on another page, I lay out my lessons for the week, or plan out of the month. I like both a mix of digital and on paper, just because I like to just write everything down and then organize it digitally. So a notebook is really nice. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. You can use a composition notebook. You can use a Moleskine, which is what I use. You can use paper and staple it together, or a binder, it doesn't matter. I think just a place for you to like write down your notes and your to-do list. I think it's so important. But all of this stuff can also be done digitally. So if you prefer using the computer and keeping everything in one place, you can use Notion or Google Sheets. They have really awesome features where you can kind of color code things, which I love. Another thing that I like to use and is helpful to me is a clipboard. As you guys may know, the most important thing is that you're teaching the standards. So I always make a standard-based checklist, and I have a clipboard to carry around every single lesson that I do, and I just check in with students and I put a grade down based on what I see. And this is not only great for observations, but also if you set up that habit, you will never be caught off guard, and it keeps everything organized. And I have one of those clipboards that has storage when you flip it, so I keep the old checklist in the little storage bin, and then I have a checklist for every single subject, and I make the checklist myself. It just has a student name and then the standard at the top, and I have one for reading, writing, math, science, social studies, and any other thing that I teach. I know I've kind of hinted at this, but I want to talk a little bit more about the fact that I pretty much have all my lessons on slides. So I have a Google slide for every single day, and there I link lessons for each subject. So I click on, let's just say, the reading slide, it opens up to the reading lessons, and it just helps me keep with the flow, and it just makes transitions easier. And of course I do writing for like math, and like when I have to set up like a mentor text for writing, but most of my teaching is done on the screen, and that could be because I am in upper elementary and I don't really need to teach anything new. I just kind of review and build on from what they've learned prior. So maybe that's like a me thing, but it saves me so much time, and I just love all my lessons being digital. When I first started though, I did not teach from slides, and I felt like my time management was awful, and I kind of forgot some things to say. So like with slides, you can literally put everything in one, and then you just kind of flow, and you know, your make teacher moves that help your students understand the content. But yeah, I love slides. It's my favorite. I also plan digitally as well. So I have a week layout, and I can see across from Monday through Friday what I'm teaching for reading, what I'm teaching for math, what I'm teaching for writing, with all like links, live links, so that when I click on it, I can see, okay, let me review this lesson, let me make some notes in my notebook. So everything digital for me is like a time saver. Like, I'm so happy that I do that now. All right, when it comes to student materials, I really have 3 that I want to talk about that help me with time and organization. As you can see, that's a really big deal for me. So I have pencil cases that the students, I kind of fill up before the first day of school with markers, pencils, like 2 pencils, 2 dry erase markers, an eraser, and like a dry erase board eraser. And that has saved me so much time, because the students have to get up to sharpen a pencil, or if if they don't know where these things are, then it causes chaos. But if they have everything they need in their desk or on their desk, they're going to be ready to learn. Another thing that I buy every single year are pencil grips. Those are essentially just to hold the pencil so they don't roll off the desk or they don't get lost. And I love them. I usually get them either from Amazon or Temu or AliExpress. It just depends on what's cheaper. That's another tip. If you are going to go on Amazon, double check AliExpress and Temu, because they usually have the same items for probably less than half of the price. So I always go there first, but because I'm kind of in a time crunch, I waited a little bit more than usual this year. I did have to order everything from Amazon, or mostly from Amazon, but give yourself some time, because it does take longer than your 2-day shipping on Amazon. But yeah, you can find the pencil cases, the pencil grips there. And then lastly, I really love book baggies. They're like this mesh large pencil case, and I have students put their books there, once again, to keep everything organized, and so that the books don't go everywhere or get crushed inside the desk. They just take out their book baggie, and if they need to take that to indoor recess, or we're doing like a reading Friday or flashlight Friday, they could just take that baggie and go. I usually have students keep like 2 to 3 books in the baggie at once, so that it doesn't get too bulky, because my desks are not that big, so I want to definitely make sure that it doesn't get too chaotic there. Another tip that I have that I just thought about is that in your classroom, I think the easiest way to set it up is to have an area for each subject. So I have like a math area, a reading area, a writing area, a science and social studies area. So it keeps everything like, you basically, in my opinion, should use your classroom, or students should use your classroom as a resource. So they should, anything that you put up on the wall should have a purpose and a use. So for example, in my writing area, I have like examples, I have the criteria, I have progressions. Like nothing is simply just for decoration. Everything has a purpose, and that really is helpful because when you get observed or when the districts come in, they should be able to look in your classroom and see what unit you're teaching, what standards you're teaching, like student work, right? So all those things are helpful if you just keep them all in the same area. Anchor charts should be there as well, although I'm not a 100% like huge anchor chart on the wall person. I literally only have them for math. I usually have printouts for the students in their folders, but everything should have a designated area that helps me stay organized. It doesn't make me feel overwhelmed. And I also don't think that every single wall should be covered with things because it could be overstimulating. That is just my opinion with my experiences. I like to keep my classroom like very organized and very simple. Less is truly more. And that's why I wanted to make this video, because I don't think you need every single thing in life. Although, you know, TikToks make it seem like you need it. I think it's just simple. Less is more. Right, and last but not least, a tool that I think is really awesome is magnetic tape. I use it because I have 2 dry erase boards that are magnetic. So I use that to put up vocabulary cards, to put up my standards and student success criteria, student work, anything. I use my magnetic tape. I get it from Lakeshore. I'm obsessed with it. But yeah, right now I want to show you guys what I bought this year, and I spent around $260. I get $235 from schools, so, and I get like the money back in January, so I spend it now and then it's kind of like a rebate. So I'm going to show you now what I got. I'm just going to quickly go through it, and these are all things that I mentioned today are all things that I have or bought. So yeah, let me show you what I got. Okay, so here's the first bag. I went to Dollar Tree and I got a dustpan and broom. These are literally $1.25. I got some tape from Walmart to put up the things that I need. I got a duster kit from the dollar store with some refills. Once again, these are all like $1.25 because I feel like my classroom gets dusty. And then I have the little storage for the dust kit and the broom and the dustpan. Once again, all from the dollar store. And I think that's what I got from the dollar store. Here's my magnetic tape. I only know of Lakeshore that sells these. They do sell them online sometimes. I'll leave it linked if I find it. Best purchase ever. I buy 2 of these every single year. They're $10, so it is expensive, but I use these so much that I have to like go back to the store and buy more. Another thing that I purchased this year from actual Temu, so this was only like a couple of bucks, I got birthday buddies. So I got these little stuffed animals. They're a little wonky. They look like Lafufus. And it was a template, and I just changed it to say Miss Vega. And then I'm going to kind of hook them together, and I give it to the students on their birthday. And this is really cheap. It's like a couple cents per gift, and that's unheard of. And I have a hot take. I do not do a birthday wall. I need, like I said, I need every single wall to have a purpose, academic purpose. So I don't do a birthday wall, but I do give them those gifts. Previously, if you want to do like free gifts, if you live or go to Disney, I've talked to cast members and they gave me like the Disney World pin, and I just say like the happy birthday one, and I just write their names on it. But I forgot to get some last year when I went to Disney, and I didn't go to Disney this year. But that's a way that you can get something for free if you are in Florida or go to Disney. Here are my borders this year. These are from Schoolgirl Style, and these are from the Book and Bows theme. So I'm having a little bit of bows and books in my theme this year. And then I also purchased the other border that are books, because that's going to go on the outside bulletin board, and this one's going to go on the inside. I'm so excited. I love polka dots and black and white, and I think that looks super cute. Next up, I got the fabric for my bulletin board. So all the bulletin boards I have inside my classroom have fabric already on them. I have 3 of them, but last year, because I had leftover black bulletin board paper, I left the outside bulletin board with just paper. This year I wanted to switch over to fabric so I don't have to keep replacing it. So it's sustainable because you don't have to replace it, you just keep it up for the whole year. So got that. This was $11, which I don't think is bad because I feel like bulletin board paper is around that price or even more expensive. Dry erase markers. My school does provide us with dry erase markers, but I'm very particular. I love to use the Crayola dry erase markers. So I have this from Amazon. These are my favorite. They come in 12 colors, and I use this for my easel and my dry erase board, but on my computer screen only the Expo markers work. So I get those for my school, and these I get for my board when I actually physically write things and solve math problems. So good. Try them out. They're a little bit pricey, not a necessity. That's why they didn't make it on my list, because your school should provide you with that material if you have a dry erase board, but these are like a little bonus for me. Another thing that I really love, and I could have included it, but I think like this is like a bonus item, I have a clicker that helps me go through my slides. This is my third one. I lose them all the time or they break, so I got a new one this year. This one's $10, not bad. These are all things that I have to repurchase every single year: borders, magnet tape, dry erase markers, book baggies, and pencil cases, because they're student materials. Once again, you don't really need to buy these things. These are just like extra that just help me stay organized and help my classroom just like run a little bit more smoothly. And then the purchase of the splurge of the year, I always splurge on one item every single year that's like above $50. So this year I got seat sacks so that students could put their book baggies and their water bottles like on their chair, because I hate when there's like a bunch of clutter on the desk. So I got these in hopes of kind of fixing that problem. And then I'm gonna have students decorate their own little nameplate. So I splurged on these. I got a 24 pack for $60 or a little bit less, but I thought that was a good deal. And then last year my splurge was the student mailboxes. The year before that I got a book rack. So every year I just splurge on one thing because I've been doing this for a while, you know? The last thing that I bought was a pencil dispenser. They're usually used for straws, but I wanted to kind of change my pencil sharpening procedure and really only have the person whose job it is to sharpen pencil sharpening it like at the end of the day. So I don't want students to be up and walking around and things like that. So that is something that I bought. It was like $14 on AliExpress or Temu, I don't remember, but like I said, I'll link everything down below. So moral of the story is less is more, and you don't need to spend thousands of dollars to make your classroom look cute. Like I said, this year I spent about $260, which yes is a lot, but like I said, in my state we get 235, so I just went over a little bit, which is okay, I think, because in previous years I went over by a lot, but I wanted to definitely be more strategic about what I bought this year. Let me know what is your teacher essential, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.